Hey guys, Fearu here, and today we are on episode number 30. Today I want to take a look at the support role. I've been practicing playing hard support for a competitive team for HoN Tour, and all these little intricacies that you can play that like come up when you're playing on a competitive team have been in my mind, at the top of my mind, so I wanted to kind of discuss them with you. And playing support can be really difficult, just in the sense that there's so many things you can do, and the way you might play it from one game to another can often change. It's not like some of the other roles. If you think about a hard carry, your goal is to get the highest GPM possible, and there's usually only one road to that path. Whereas playing support, okay, maybe you need to stay in the lane to help support your carry, to give him more farm, maybe you need to go camp runes, maybe you need to go ward, D-ward, maybe you need to stack, maybe you need to go roam, and all these things can alter how the game plays out, and depending on what kind of game you're in, could also change how you want to proceed. So I just kind of wanted to take a look at that and compare a more competitive game to a more casual TMM game, and just look at the differences of how I support, and hopefully you guys will learn a thing or two. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so I want to look at a couple of differences between competitive support, and maybe your solo TMM support, and how the things you can do can be varied. I also want to look at a couple of mistakes I've made in the past, so maybe you don't make the same mistakes. So I'm going to start here with a competitive game. This was a scrim between a clan I'm trying out for HoN Tour and another team. Who was the other team? They don't have a clan tag, so I'm just going to say those guys. Anyway, onward. So I placed my early ward. There was a little scuffle early on in the jungle. I placed my early ward, which is going to allow us to get vision of where they place their wards. We see Luna has two on her. She placed one here, and she placed another one right here somewhere. And she probably blocked the camp from Lego, so I'm going to try to get that down immediately. While we have at the 30-second mark, that's when the neutral spawn. So we're going to try to get that down. This ward blocks this camp, so hopefully we can get this down. We have 10 seconds, but only 2 hits. Engineer's not going to be able to stop it. This camp should spawn no problems. And I'm already buying another counter ward on its way from the monkey, and hopefully I'll be able to counter this one as well. We'll see where she placed it, though. Meanwhile, we have Master of Arms and Fade mid, hanging out. Engineer's main is way back there, and I'm hoping to get a counter. I throw it down. I don't see anything. I'm hoping to see the ward here. It's not. She hit it in the jungle. Now I'm sad. I'm making my way back to mid. This is the first thing I wanted to note, though. I could have easily, as soon as I didn't see it here, I could have easily made my way back to mid to help start competing for last hits for Fade. Fade isn't getting quite boxed out now that Engineer's here, and Master of Arms is getting pretty much free farm, give or take. So I'm going to make my way back to mid. I'm going to upgrade the courier around the 2-minute mark. That's about when I'll have enough gold. I only have 139 now, and I'll go try to find that ward that's probably somewhere in the woods. In the meantime, I'll try to give Fade a little bit of support, although we are making our way to that 2-minute mark. And I believe there's a pause. I'm just going to speed through this. There's no kills, it's just relative harass. Yeah, there's a pause right here. I'll speed through it. And we will make our way top. I will notice this DD. You could argue whether I should pick it up or if I should just come back. I'll tell you what I should do in a minute. I end up taking it for fear that while I left, maybe Engineer would go grab it. Although, again, they don't have vision, and we know that. And I come up here and I attack this ward to give Lego control of the jungle. Send the courier back, and I make my way back to mid. And I messed up pretty big this game, and it's, if you watch this, from a distance, maybe you're like, oh, the support's doing fine, right? Like if you're, if you don't know what a support's supposed to do, maybe you're playing, the suicide, and you're like, oh yeah, he hasn't died, he countered 2 wards, I'm feeling good about this support guy, he's a pretty cool guy. I actually messed up really badly, and let me explain why. If we go to spectator mode real fast, and we look at the GPMs, you'll notice this issue where Master of Arms had pretty much free farm mid at 277. And Fade is sitting at a staggering 99. This is not Fade's fault. There's an engineer and Master of Arms in this lane, and he is getting boxed out, out-harassed, and outlast hit because of all these different reasons. Master of Arms is about to get his bottle on the way, I believe. He has 800 gold. I'm actually okay. Yeah, he carries it right now. We're gonna throw harass just to try to catch up because we're so far behind right now. If you look at the XPM inversely, it's not much better. Obviously, I've been gone this entire time. I'm at 24, which is pathetic. And Fade is still, even though he's been solo lane, because he's been boxed out, he's even behind Master of Arms, even though he's in a solo lane. Which puts us at a disadvantage in this lane in every single way, which is awful. So to go back, what should have I done? Answer is real simple. When I placed the first time I placed the Rev Ward, you can argue whether I should have gone around to check or if I should have just gone back to lane. I could have. It was near the 1 minute mark, so I could have. If the ward was right here, I could have killed it in the 1 minute mark. The 1 minute newts would have spawned to help Lego out, or I could have just gone back to lane. And just saved the flying courier. And then at the 2 minute mark, I should have just taken the DD and come back to lane. If we go back to the 2 minute mark, just to look at it real fast. Oh, I have to get there. Here we are. Okay, and we're still in spectator. I just wanted to look at GPMs. If I can get there. If we look at GPMs now, yeah, they're still ahead, but it's not as bad as it was. I'm actually ahead of NG here right now. We're both levels 1 and 2, and I could have easily just upgraded the courier. I could have taken the DD because the double damage here is about to spawn. I'll go ahead and speed up to exactly where I'm talking about. This is actually where the pause is, so I feel like this is a good moment. I could have gotten the double damage that's about to spawn here. Given the flying courier and just had Legionnaire kill this ward, and I could have stayed in the lane and helped try to get that lane control. At this point in the game, Master of Arms, he still doesn't have his bottle. As soon as he gets that, we're going to have issues because he's going to be able to out-harass us. And when I come back here after killing this ward, there's no way. I'm making my way back after having killed this the ward, and there's just no way I'm ever going to be able to regain lane control here, because we're just so far behind. And that's the first thing I want you to keep in mind as a support. Your job is to get whatever lane you're in, no matter what. Your goal is to get lane control. Like that's your main focus, is get lane control, and then start to do other things. And once you feel like you've obtained lane control, maybe go stack, maybe go roam, maybe go camp a rune, but get lane control. The worst thing you can do is put yourself farther in a hole, because now what has to happen is I have to stay here to help Fade, and even though I am staying here, we're still at a disadvantage because these guys have a bottle already, have levels on top of us. Like, I'm still at risk even being here. And that's the first thing you should keep in mind. This doesn't matter if you're playing from a dual mid perspective, if you're supporting someone in a side lane. That's the first thing I want you to keep in mind. That's a pretty big mistake I made. Now I'm going to go look at a casual game they did in not solo queue, but I dual queued TMM to look at some of the differences real fast. Okay, so here we are in a different game. This was a TMM game. I dual queued. I'll be playing Torture. I dual queued with my buddy Magnus here. We'll be doing bottom lane. Typically, when you're supporting in TMM, they normally do the standard 2-1-2. So usually a side lane support. This game was about, I think, in the 1650 range. I was 1700, and I believe my buddy was 1650, and I think it went all the way down to just about 1620. We're going up against this Electrician Witch Slayer. I just want to talk about a few things you missed. I always get that counter ward to get control of the pull. I think that's the most important thing in a side lane, because it allows you to get lane control, which is your goal. I like this defensive ward as long as someone else buys a ward for the rune. Alonia has purchased that ward. and she didn't put it at the pole, so she's going to use it for the rune. So I said, okay, cool, I'll drop my defensive ward. If there isn't one, I'll drop it here, just because I like the defensive ward, because typically I like being aggressive in this short lane. I'm gonna stack this again at the 2-minute mark, and that typically at the 2-minute mark, if you do this appropriately, you start pushing the lane. Right as the 2-minute mark approaches, you tell your lane partner, let them know, so they're warned. You'll get your triple stack at the 2-minute mark, assuming you got the counter off. And this is usually where you can get lane control. Now, again, same things that you want to remember that I've gone over in previous videos is make sure that when you do pull this lane, make sure it's triple stacked when you pull it. You don't want to pull it when it's just a double stack or a single stack, and make sure the lane is pushed. That's also key. You want the lane to be pushed when you pull this. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to get additional XP from killing all these creeps, and Electrician and Witchslayer are both going to be denied XP from not getting this creep wave that's dying here to these neutrals. And this is gonna push us ahead, and we're gonna, now that we're ahead in levels and have our level 3 spells while they're gonna still be level 2, we're gonna look for opportunities when they make mistakes to get aggressive on them, and that's what you want to do. So we see that they're level 2, so if they get out of position or if our creep wave pushes, we're going to look for an opportunity to be aggressive. Right here, they already made a huge mistake. And I just want to talk about that, like how'd they mess up? If you're going to use Witchslayer's stun like that, it should either be used as a huge defensive spell to protect yourself, or as a setup for a series of stuns that's either going to kill your opponent or push him back far enough to the point that you're going to push him out of the lane to deny him XP or gold. Now, neither of these things are going to happen. This isn't going to be enough burst. It was still a level 1 stun, and there's no way. I mean, that was just, if we watch it again, it wasn't really accomplishing much. He wasn't out of position. He's really close to his tower. I'm not actually sure why he shot his stun. So now that we know it's on cooldown, we know Witchslayer doesn't have a stun for defense, we're going to use this opportunity to get aggressive. Magnus is going to stun. I'm going to follow up. I should have immediately Agonizing Bond, but I didn't because I'm bad. And this should have been a kill. Now, my mistake, 100%. But now, and let's say they don't make a mistake. Like let's say Witchslayer still saved his graveyard stun earlier. We could have still been aggressive just to put pressure on him, because the same amount of damage would have been done. And now what's going to happen is Electrician's going to have to back out of lane for quite some time to regen, because he won't be able to get safe, which is going to allow me and Magnus to just get additional levels and experience and gold on top of him. And it'll get to the point where Magnus can just have the lane to himself, and I can make the option of either just stacking the jungle, roaming to mid, and I'll have these different options. Other things I'm going to do is I'm going to buy early boots as a side support here. And then I want to talk about one particular timing that always occurs. Side note, I think Chipper comes up here and gets the kill. It's not particularly important to what happened. But going on here, yeah, he comes in and gets this kill. I think. Yeah. So okay, so now you've taken control of the lane. Let's pretend that kill didn't happen for a second, and we'll come back. You've taken control of the lane. You have a decent amount of gold. Okay, what else are you concerned about? What are vital importance? Like, what's vitally important to supporting? What are the bare minimum? What can you get away with? I want to talk about one particular timing that people usually negate completely for wards, and I have actually a really good segment to show you to kind of explain it. So let me hop over to a different game. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about are timings. And there are multiple things that go on from about the 5-minute mark to about the 7-minute and 30-second mark. usually between 5 minutes and 6:30 in game time. Two things happen. One, usually the first set of wards falls off the map. And two, this is usually when whoever is solo is hitting level 6. In this particular game, we had Fearu just hit 6. He was suicide, just hit 6 all but 20 seconds ago. And so did the solo Moon Queen top. There was a Suicide Scout that hit 6, and Wretched Hag hit 6. Tempest was in the Legion jungle, and he could be 6. I'm assuming he just misplayed here and there. It is possible to hit level 6 by about the 5-minute mark. And then there's also a Parasite here somewhere. In a creep, maybe? Oh, that is Parasite. And he is still level 5, but could be level 6 at this time. And I just want you guys to be aware of these timings, because the reason I'm pointing this out is because there's usually at least one solo player on the opposing team, and when he hits level 6, he's going to look to use his spell, whatever it might be, whether it's a Suicide Keeper trying to use his level 6 ult, whether it's a Tempest in the jungle, a Parasite, a Suicide Pharaoh, a Suicide Scout. And I want to use this particular game because it just kind of helps demonstrate that all these heroes are trying to converge to help gank for both teams. We have on one side, we have a Parasite coming from the jungle to gank mid with Scout. On the other side, we have a Suicide Pharaoh coming in to gank mid with a Tempest from the Legion jungle. And it's just funny because neither team had respective vision on it, so it was just this massive clash mid, which I found kind of humorous for the most part. And I wanted to help kind of demonstrate, just show this timing where all these heroes are looking to gank. Because it's a very, very common timing. And if you can apply this to a 2-1-2 where you have a solo mid versus a solo mid. This can be applied in your game too, because the timing is going to be relatively the same, and you just have to be prepared that, hey, at that like 5 minute 30-second mark, that their mid is going to hit level 6, and there's a good chance he's going to look to come gank one of us. We need to make sure we have a defensive ward where depending on what lane you are, depending on where you might want it placed, and just kind of be aware of that timing. I think that's a really, really important ward that not very many people place down. Typically what will happen in a game is the first set of wards goes down, everyone's accepted that, they're like, hey, we need a ward for the pull, we need a ward for the rune, let's get that down. And teams, it's becoming more and more common. But what will happen is after those wards disappear, teams will stop buying the next set of wards, and then they'll pile up, and then there'll be a gank, and you'll have no vision, usually at about this 6-minute mark, and then someone will be like, come on, why don't we have any wards? And then someone will buy all 4 wards that have been piled up like it was okay, like, okay, don't worry, I bought them now. Instead of buying all 4 at the 8-minute mark, let's just try to buy 1 and make sure we have it down at that 5-minute and 30-second mark to just help protect yourself. No matter what lane you want to protect, just get it down, because you know that's the timing that people are going to start wanting to get that extra gank in. And I think that'll help you. And whenever I'm in a TMM game, as a solo queue, I make sure I have that ward down, and that's something I wanted to mention. Just for on a support side, you don't need to buy 12 wards. You don't need to buy every single ward as soon as it comes up, but you should make sure that for these particular timings that you do have wards down, so you're prepared for that. And that's just kind of what I wanted to give you guys today. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.